Good morning, friends. We are learning our subject that is data mining. The code is 3160714. In that, we are learning data pre-processing. So, in last lecture, we have seen the natural segmentation, right? That was segmentation by natural partitioning, right? Recall that 3-4-5 rule was there, isn't it? So now we want to study data cube aggregation. Now what is that? For that, just recall what is data cube. So a data cube refers is a three-dimensional or higher range values. Data aggregation is any process in which information is gathered and expressed in a summary form for purposes such as statistical analysis. So what do we want to do is in the summary form, we want to express the information, right? The lowest level of a data cube is said as Pitts cuboid. As for example, a customer in a phone calling data in data warehouse. What is data warehouse? You recall that? Where you can dump all type of data, right? Or any type of data we can dump in it, isn't it? That is the layman's words. Multiple levels of aggregation in data cubes. Further, it reduces the size of data to deal with what we are learning data cube aggregation. But why are we learning? Because we want to reduce the data, isn't it? Reference appropriate levels. Use the smallest representation which is enough to solve the task. So what do we say is reference appropriate levels. Use the smallest representation which is enough to solve the task. Queries regarding aggregated information should be answered using data cube when possible. So what is data cube aggregation? Let us see this figure and what it conveys. Here data collection is as in the figure. It consists of cells per quarter for years 1997 to 1999. We are interested in the annual cells, that is total per year, rather than the total per quarter. What is given here, that is the sales per quarter. In the data this is given, what do we want is, we want to have sales per year. So what we have to do is, we have to do the summation of all these 4 quarters, isn't it? Because we want to get the data for whole year, right? So here data is given for 97, 98, 99, and that is quarterly it is given. Now we want to get the aggregation. So we'll do the summation. So the data is summed up and resulting data is summarize the total sales per year instead of per quarter, isn't it? We can see that here for 97, we can see the total here, right? Whatever is the data given here, the summation of that is given here. Fine. The summation is given in the aggregation table, isn't it? We can see that. Now, One more example, that is for data cube aggregation. Here the data cube is given as, this is the part, means say computer part is being sold by few shops where we consider the customer. The customer names are here. Then we can say that store location. This is say Vancouver. Then you can say Toronto, right? So some places are given here. Now, what is that? Is this data queue? First of all, we should know that. See, as we know that we can have three or more dimensions, right? As we have seen for data cube, we should have three or more dimensions. Here, customer is there, location is there, and part is there, right? So at least three dimensions are there, and this is data cube. Now, what this particular cube considers, that is for say once a person, that is a customer, for that. What is the location? From which location this person has purchased which part? Right, that is the computer part. Now, let us say that for P1 part, see, this person has purchased two parts. For P2 part, 4 quantity. For P3 part, 1 quantity. Right. So total is 7 quantity. This person, that is this customer, has purchased from which location? That is this particular city. Fine. The same way we can say that this customer has purchased, say, for this particular location, we can say this is the city name. Here we can say the customer has only purchased the part 5, right? So total is 5. That is how many total parts this customer has purchased, this particular customer has purchased at this particular location. Fine. Same way for this particular location. For this city, we can say customer has purchased 5 parts. For P1, 3 parts. For what we can say, for P3, and 2 quantity parts for part P5, right? So what is the total purchase this customer has done for different location that is available here? That is 7 at this city, 15 at this city, 5 at this city, and at this particular city no purchase is there. Fine. And what about the total? Whatever total number of items, total number of quantities this customer has purchased, that is this one, right? That is this one, isn't it? The same way the data is there for Bob, same way it is for Richard, and same way it is for Ellison, right? So this 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 cubes represent the data for a particular customer who has purchased particular parts of computers from particular city, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Now, if we do the aggregation of all these data cubes, now what we have to do is, say for part P1 at Vancouver, that is the first location, first city. Now, what is the case? Take this first lot data. Here something is there? No. So, let us consider 0. Then after, for this particular cube, let us take this as 3. So, 0 plus 3 plus here 0 plus here 0, right? So 0 plus 3 plus 0 plus 0, that is 3, right? That is the aggregated data we have taken for all the customers at this first location and for part P1, and that is this particular thing, right? What we have taken is we have done the summation of this particular location of our data cube, right? So whatever is available here, 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 we have summed up, right? The same way we have to do for all other locations. Say, let us consider for this second location in the row, that is the first row. Here say 2, here 0, then here 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Then after here 0, right? So here this will be 4. Fine. I think you are getting that, right? Same way we'll be doing for this summation also we'll be doing that. Say 7 plus 6 is 13 plus 2 is 15 plus 2 is 17. That's what we are getting here. Fine. Same way. Here also we do the summation and that's what we are getting here. Let us say that 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 12 then 14, that is 26. 26 then this 11, that is 37, plus 3 is 40, right? So horizontally also we are doing the summation and vertically also we are doing the summation. Fine. Here also we can say that 3 plus 4, that is 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 plus 3 is 17. That's what we are getting here. Now for all the rows we'll be doing the summation. Then after vertically we'll do the summation and that should be same, isn't it? So this is called the data cube aggregation. Fine. This is also the data reduction technique. Why is it data reduction? Because here we were representing one cube. Here also one cube. So you can see data structure of the cube is taking this much memory. Here also one more and one more. So 4 cubes are being allocated and the memory according to that. But now what is the case? That we have taken the aggregation and so we can say we are able to see the aggregated data cube. That is, instead of now 4 cubes, we are having only one cube wherein the summary of the data is available. Fine. So that is data reduction technique and we can say that it is data cube aggregation. Now, dimensionality reduction techniques. We have seen a bit few before. Now we want to know feature transformation and autoencoder. What are they? Feature transformation, that means what? If our data is not in desirable format, we need to transform it. The techniques are handling categorical variables, feature scaling, principal component analysis, right? So what do we want is we want to transform the data to other format. What do we mean by that? For example, very simple thing is if the data is available in the kilometer, we do not want to have that in the format. We will convert that to meters, right? So either we want to convert the data in the same format when we are collecting the data from different sites or otherwise it is not available in the desired format. So we'll convert that. We will transform that. That is, it is not always the kilometer to meter. This is one example. Right? It may be there in the range that is different than the desired one. So it happens. Right? So how do we handle the categorical variables? We know that categorical variables are having the categories, isn't it? Categorical values are values that can be represented as categories or groups. They can be grouped into two main types. One is nominal and second one is ordinal. Nominal values are simply names or labels with no ordering defined. You can say, ma'am, we already know this, right? If you forget, just recall that. Fine. So, example is say gender or color. They are names. No ordering is therein. Fine. Ordinal values are categories where order does matter. For example, t-shirt size, rank, grade, right? You can say t-shirt size. Yes, of course. The size represents the number and number is always ordinal, isn't it? We mean to say that if two numbers are given, say 5 and 7, we will be able to order them. We will be able to put them in one order. That is 5 comes first and 7 comes first. If, then 7 comes if we sort them in ascending order, right? Machine learning algorithms cannot handle data represented as categories or labels. Therefore, we need to transform the values into a more relevant format. Now, we want to know string indexing. The concept behind string indexing is very intuitive. We simply replace each category with a number. Then we use this number in our models instead of the label. For example, if we are having, say, small, large, small, medium and large, right? If we are having for this string indexing, let me write here so you can have the idea. If we are having, say, small, then medium and large, these three things are there, right? So if we want to do the string indexing, what do we say? That what we do is we simply replace each category with a number, right? So here what we are doing is for small, we'll consider say 1. For medium, we'll consider it as say 2. And for large, we'll consider it as 3, right? So now what we do is, now we use this number in our model instead of the label, right? So that is string indexing, isn't it? Now we want to learn this one more encoding technique. What for? That is to handle the categorical variable, isn't it? Now what we do? Let us see. We use one hot encoding. One hot encoding, OHE. Okay, to break the ordering within a categorical column. The process to apply OHE is, first thing is, break the categorical column into n different columns where n is the number of unique categories in the column. Now assign a binary value, that is 0 or 1, in each column that represents the existence of the color in the data point. For example, here what we are having is say red, white, orange, blue. One thing, that is where in string indexing we have considered that the category will be given a number and that we will use, right? That was one method. Now that is the simple one. Here what we are doing is we are using the encoding and that is called the one hot encoding. Now what we do for that, let us say that this is the color name, right? This is a table where we are saying that the color name is red, white, orange, blue, right? Now the color index we are giving the way we have given the string indexing. Here we are giving 0, 1, 2, 3. Fine. Now we'll divide that in other columns. Like how is red, is white, is orange, is blue. Are we dividing the color in RGB? No, we are not doing that. What we are doing is for this red, white, orange, blue, whatever colors are given to us, for all of them, what we do is we are giving it as is red, is white, whatever names are there. For them, we are writing is underscore and color name. Fine. So is underscore red, is underscore white, is underscore orange, is underscore blue. Now what to do? We have to assign the binary value that is 0 or 1. Fine. So now for red. Now for red, let us go ahead. This index we have already given, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. Fine. So we do not have to fill anything in that. Now for this is underscore red, this color is red, right? So here, is it red? Of course it is. So we'll be giving 1 here. Is it white? No. So that is 0. Is underscore orange? Is it? No. So 0. Is underscore blue? Is it? No. So it is 0. So one hot encoding says that red is represented as one array or one list where it is having 1, 0, 0, 0, right? So according to the one hot encoding, we have considered or we have represented the color, that is red color, as 1, 0, 0, 0 array or list, isn't it? Same way for white. So we'll be considering 1 is the index. So what about red? 0. You can say for is white, it is 1 because it is pure white. Is orange. So should we consider 1? Obviously not. So 0. Is underscore blue. So it is also 0 for white, isn't it? For orange, color index is 2. Is it red? You can say, madam, it is the mix of red and yellow. So we should have given some value here. No. It is because assign a binary value, right? We are not mixing the colors, or you can say the way we are having hash number in HTML or any other language. That's what we are not using here. Fine. Here we just have to give the binary value, that is 0 or 1. So for orange we can say it will be 0, 0, 1, 0. And for blue it will be 0, 0, 0, 1. Right? So this is called one hot encoding. Fine. What we do? We are actually doing what? That is, we are handling the categorical variable, right? We are handling the categorical variable. What we do is, we are transform the categorical variables. How we are transforming that and why are we doing that? The thing is, machine learning algorithms cannot handle the data represented as categories or labels. So we need to transform these values into numbers, right? Numbers, for that one thing is string indexing and second one is one hot encoding. In that, first of all we are doing in string indexing. After that whatever columns we believe according to this, that is underscore red, is underscore white, is underscore orange, is underscore blue. For our example, we'll assign the numbers that is 1 or 0, that is the binary value, fine. And then after we can say that what will be its OHE, that is one hot encoding representation, that is one array where it is having 4 numbers, right? And they are the binary number. I mean to say they are only 1 and 0, fine. So that's what we have done. Now, feature scaling. To transform the data, we can be having the feature scaling. So what we do and how we do, let us check it out. To scale data in one or same range, feature scaling is used. So how we do that? For that, we are having, say, different types of scalars available. Fine. One is standard scalar. What we want is we want to change the range of the data. Either we want to have it in small range or we want to have it in bigger range. Fine. So we are having some scalars available. So how we do that? That is, first of all, say standard scalar. What is that? It standardizes features by removing the mean and scaling to unit standard deviation using column summary statistics, converting two variables to a range that is 0 to 1. So how we do that? That is using x underscore scale, that is equal to x minus mean upon standard deviation. Fine. So this is one way, that is standard scalar, with which we can get the feature scaling. Fine. Now, where we can apply this? Can we apply this for categorical variables? No, we cannot, right? Categories are not having numbers, isn't it? So, where we can apply this standard scalar, we can apply that to only numeric values, isn't it? We can find the mean for categories? No, we cannot. For what we can use this? We can use this only for numbers. Standard deviation, where we can find? That is for, we can say, numbers. Fine. So feature scaling is used on the numeric data. Fine. One more scaling is that is the min max scalar. We have seen that, right? While we transform the data, as we are talking of the scalars, I have put it again here so you can recall that. Applying any other scalar is doing the exact same process as something like this. Fine. But with a different class name and its relevant parameters. Scaling, that means either will put it in bigger range, whatever data is there, or otherwise will reduce it, that is, we reduce the range. Fine. So for min-max scalar transforms, what it does, it is having the specific range, that is from 0 to 1 by default. So how we do that? That is for x underscore scale, that is equal to x minus x mean upon x max minus x mean, isn't it? So this is for feature scaling, right? That is, we want to either transform the data into bigger scale or in the smaller scale, right? As we are doing the reduction, so what we'll be doing is, we'll be doing the scaling to smaller range, right? We'll be scaling to smaller range, fine. So what we can see is, that is the number reduction, isn't it? Value reduction, Mapping to a new space also reduces the data, right? Suppose here we are having two sine waves. We can see that too much data is there. We can reduce that where we are transforming it to a new space. Here we can say that we are transforming with, say, two sine waves plus noise. We have put it, and just now it is also there in time domain only. If we are transforming it, see, this is the way we are able to show the things with noise, isn't it? This is simple sine waves, this is noise. Now if we want to transform that to frequency domain, this is time domain. Okay, we can see that time domain, that is time in seconds. When we convert that to frequency domain, we can say that we are able to reduce the data, isn't it? Wavelet transform. With that also we can reduce the data. So how we can do that? And what it is? It decomposes a signal into different frequency subbands, right? It is applicable to n-dimensional signals. Data are transformed to preserve relative distance between objects at different levels of resolution. It allows natural clusters to become more distinguishable, and it is used for image compression. So what we consider for wavelet transform? Discrete wavelet transform for linear signal processing and multi-resolution analysis. So compressed approximation, it store only a fraction of the strongest of the wavelet coefficient. What we can say is, see, for say data cube aggregation, what we have done is we have taken the summation, right? Here what we are doing is, say for your class, strongest component we want to store, strongest wavelet coefficients. So what I do is, from your class, say marks are there for all of you for say my subject. Now what I'll do is to represent the marks in my subject, what I do is I'll only represent that using the strongest coefficient. Now that strongest coefficient can be calculated using any particular formula what I give for a particular application. I means whatever is there in the application, the way the parameters are, right? It depends on a particular model, isn't it? So what we do is store only small fraction of the strongest of the wavelet coefficient, right? Instead of having the data for say 3 by 3 matrix, what I'll do is I'll consider say whatever is the strongest coefficient, and we can say that suppose one is there in, and in other elements of our matrix, if it is having 0, so I'll not consider those 0, I'll only consider 1. Fine. Whatever is strongest, so strongest wavelet coefficient. So for wavelet coefficients, whatever is the strongest data is that we will store, and will forget others, right? So that way we'll be able to have the data. You can say that for say this simple linear wavelet, we can say that we will be storing whatever is the strongest here, right? Whatever is the strongest here. Fine. Okay. Similar to discrete Fourier transform, but better lossy compression. It is lossy compression localized in the space. So what we do for this particular wavelet transform? Length L must be an integer power of 2, padding with zeros when necessary. Each transform has two functions. One is smoothing, one is difference. It applies to pairs of data resulting in two set of data of length L by 2. Applies to functions recursively until reaches the desired length. So that is the wavelet transform. Let us see the example and we can have the idea. Wavelets, a math tool for space efficient hierarchical decomposition of functions. Now, what is that? Let us take the example. We can understand that very easily. That is, S is equal to 2, comma 2, comma 0, comma 2, comma 3, comma 5, comma 4, comma 4. Now that can be transformed to. The answer is given here, but we'll see the procedure how we are getting this particular answer. Okay. So, compression. What we do is many small detail coefficients can be replaced by 0. Say 0.00000 something. So that will be replaced by 0. What we want to do is for compression, what we are doing is many small detail coefficients can be replaced by 0 and only these significant coefficients are retained. Where you can see that good values, see there is nothing like good values, but if nearly equal to 0, replace it by 0 or otherwise retain other coefficients, right? Okay. Otherwise, you can say that ma'am point 1 is near to 0 or should we consider that? Should we not consider that? We do not define that in general categories. It depends on particular problem also, particular application also, right? But here in particular wavelet decomposition, we say that small detail coefficients are replaced by 0. Now, how much you have to consider, that depends on your particular applications, where you should allow that or not, or what is the small value for that application. Fine. Now, here we are having the two steps, and they are smoothing and difference. Smoothing, that means we take pairwise average, that is mean, right? And difference is we take difference of first number of pair with the calculated mean, right? We'll do that for 2 raised to 3, that is 8th level, 2 raised to 2, that is 4th level, 2 raised to 1, that is 2nd level, and 2 raised to 0, that is 1 level, that is the first level of resolution. Fine. Now, let us see the detailed example so we can have the idea. Fine. The data which is given to us, that is 2, 2, 0, 2, 3, 5, 4, 4. Right? Let us see. Now, what we first of all do is calculate the pairwise average. That is mean of the pair. Fine? Data is given here 2, 2, 0, 2, 3, 5, 4, 4. Right? Now, pairwise average. Okay? Pairwise. So, I have put the columns also that way, that is here say to merge and we are taking the mean, right? So you can see that very clearly, and in exam also you have to write clearly like this only. Okay, fine. So here 2 plus 2 divide by 2, right? We are calculating pairwise average. Fine. Here 0 and 2. So 0 plus 2 divide by 2, that is equal to 1. Here 3 and 5. So 3 plus 5 divided by 2, that is equal to 4. Here 4 plus 4, so 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now what we do is again we'll take the average. This is 2, this is 1. Fine. So 2 plus 1 divided by 2, that is 3 by 2. This is 4, this is 4. So 4 plus 4 divided by 2 and that is equal to 4. Now what? You can say that this is 1.5 plus 4 because here this is 1.5 and this is 4. So now we are having these two pair. You can say that 1.5 plus 4 divided by 2, that is 2 and 3 by 4. Isn't it? What we have done here as the first step, that is we have calculated pairwise average. Right? Till what point we have done? Recursively we have applied till we are getting one single number. Fine. This pairwise you can say, pairwise you have taken. Fine. Here what we are getting, for that also we are taking pairwise average. Fine. And at last we are taking the average of these two numbers. Fine. Okay. Now calculate the difference. You can say why average, why difference? Because we are having two steps, that is smoothing. Smoothing is pairwise average, and difference, that is what we have to take difference of first number of pair, first number of pair with the calculated mean. Fine. Let's do that now. Smoothing we have already done. Now we'll do the difference. Right? Okay, let's see that. Now here difference is taken first number of pair. I am again telling you first number of pair and calculated mean. Right? So mean also I have written here. So you can remember that. Numbers 2, 2, 0, 2, 3, 5, 4, 4. That was given to us. Now mean. For these two, what was the mean? 2. What was the mean? 1. What was the mean? 4. What was the mean? 4. Right? Now, we want to take the difference, right? So, for that, what is being said? First number of pair. These two numbers, that means it is a pair. First number of the pair and take the difference with mean. So, 2 minus 2 is 0. I have shown it here clearly, the right color for the first number of the pair, right? What we say is 0 minus 1 and that will be equal to minus 1, right? For the difference, first number of the pair, that is 3, mean is 4. So 3 minus 4, that is minus 1. Here also we can say the first number is 4, mean is also 4. So this will be 4 minus 4 is equal to 0. So we'll be getting 0 minus 1 minus 1 0. Fine. What we have done is we have done the smoothing that was previously. Now what we are doing is we are doing the difference. How we are taking the difference? That is taken the difference between the first number of the pair and whatever was the calculated mean. Right? Now what we got? Difference is taken first number of pair and calculated mean. This was, right? This was the second step, right? So 2, 1, 4, 4. The way we have considered here, right? Here, this first level we have considered. Now we'll consider for the second level. That is 2, 1, 4, 4. Then after we'll consider for this one. Fine. So the same thing we have to do. Now here the number is 2144. That is the second level, right? So now what we do is, what was the mean? So mean we have written here. Fine. What we have to do is, we have to take the difference between first number of the pair and the mean. So 2 minus 1 and half. Here first number of pair is 4 and this 4 is the mean. So 4 minus 4 is 0, right? So what we are getting here is 1 by 2 and 0, right? That is for the second level. Now what is for the third level? Here we are having 1.5 and 4, right? So those number will consider. Here we can see This is 1.5 and 0, right? Mean is 2 and 3 by 4. So now we have to take the difference. That is, we can say we'll be getting it as minus 1 and 1 by 4. Fine. We'll be taking this first number of pair minus this mean, right? So, so we'll be getting this particular number. Fine. Now what? Transform factor. Now how we are doing that? For the transform factor, consider the final value of average and difference values in the reverse order of the rows. Last one what we got, that was this one, 2, 3 by 4, right? 2 and 3 by 4, that was what? The averages, right? Let me show you. This was the average when we have calculated. Fine. Okay. So in the reverse order, we are writing that. Okay. Let me show you that. Yeah. Here, this is 2 and 3 by 4. Then 1.5, 4. Then 2, 1, 4, 4. And 2202354 that was given to us as the data, right? So what we consider for the resolution, what we get at last, that is given as first resolution, then this is second, this is 4, and this is 8. 1 2 4 8. Why is it so? It is because this is 2 raised to 0, this is 2 raised to 1, this is 2 raised to 2, and this is 2 raised to 3, right? We have said that we have to consider the resolution at the level that is 2 raised to n, right? So that's what we have considered here. Fine. So these are the averages. Now, what is the coefficient we have to consider? Whatever coefficient was there at this point, that we are writing. Fine. Whatever is the coefficient here, this one, that will be writing. So in the reverse order, we are writing that, right? The way we have started this way, the same thing will consider. So minus 1 and 1, 1 by 4, 1 by 2, 0, 0 minus 1, minus 1, 0. Fine. So now what we can say is, how we can write that? We can write that, that is the final transform vector. Final transform vector, we can write it as this. Whatever is the last average we consider, that will write. After that, what we do is, whatever are the coefficient, those will be writing. Negative 1 and 1 by 4. Then 1 by 2 and 0. We can see that. After that, whatever is coefficient here, 0, minus 1, minus 1, 0. That's what we are getting here. And this is the transformed vector according to wavelet coefficient, right? Or we can say that wavelet decomposition. Fine. Wavelet coefficients we have found, and according to that we have given the wavelet transformation. Fine. And that is this one. For the data 2202354, we are having the transform factor that is being represented here. Fine. So that's all for today.